A dominant effort by the Seahawks defense and on the ground with Kenneth Walker running the football. 135 yards on 27 carries, leading to a Seahawks Super Bowl 60 victory, 29-13 over New England. Second time the Vince Lombardi Trophy will call Seattle home. Welcome back, everybody. This is NFL Game Day Final presented by Mercedes-Benz. Alongside Bucky Brooks and Daniel Jeremiah, I'm Rhett Lewis. Excited to be back here with you following, a game that really just came up Seahawks the entire way. What stood out to you most about the way they won this game, DJ?
Well, they won it how we all expected they would win it, with their defensive line and their defensive front. 6 sacks for this group, Buck. It felt a lot like last year, the Eagles' 6 sacks against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. If they can't block you, they're going to have a hard time beating you, and we've seen that in the NFL over the last few years.
Credit Mike McDonald for playing the hits.
Yeah.
Didn't do a lot of complex things, found what was working, and once he cracked the code, he stayed with it. This defense was flying around. They were attacking the quarterback. They did a great job of keeping the ball in front. And, look, when you can hit, run, and cover and do the things that the Seattle Seahawks have done for the entire year, it's going to be hard to beat you in the Super Bowl.
I mean, Devin Witherspoon coming on those blitzes. He ended up with a sack in this game and had one taken away from him at the end when Uchenna Nwosu's fumble recovery was turned to an interception return for a touchdown. So, I mean, like, to add to the defensive dominance, they actually scored on defense as well, which made some sense there, considering the way that game was dominated on the defensive side. And then, look, there were some moments for the Patriots, just not nearly enough for Drake Maye and company.
No, everything was hard. Yeah. They sped him up, and he was a little bit jittery back there. And they had some opportunities, Buck. He wasn't able to cash those in. But, I mean, we're talking about opportunities on one hand. There was not a lot of open space out there in this secondary, the way these guys got covered. So it felt coming into this was the more talented team with Seattle, and it played out just like that.
Yeah, it certainly played out. We said that the Seattle Seahawks would have to help the Patriots if they were going to win. The Seattle Seahawks didn't. They dominated them.
They didn't take out the driver. The Seahawks didn't even have to take out the driver. Just hit irons all day long on offense. That was enough.
And that's what Kenneth Walker was doing for sure. 27 carries and 135 yards. Well, this is a stat that the Vikings and Panthers in particular are not going to love. Jets as well. Still waiting for that next Super Bowl. Sam Darnold has his. The teams he has played for have won combined there. Okay. Rhett Lewis, Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks back here with you, because this game, while Sam had a big role in it, he was not the reason they ended up winning. A big part of why they got here, certainly, but the way that their defense played, required less than of Sam in this game, and the same goes for the run game.
Yeah, I mean, look, they ran the ball well. I mean, I think they would have been content and would have won this game even if they weren't as productive running it. If some of those field goals ended up being punts, I think they still find their way to win the game. But they were effective running the ball. Sam got the one shot to the tight end when he needed it for the touchdown, but outside of that, it was, hey, don't make the big mistake. If you don't make the big mistake and make them travel the length of the field, you're going to win this football game, and they executed that strategy beautifully.
Well, I think that's what the proponents of this offensive system would say. That's the beauty of this offense. When you're balanced, it creates big play opportunities in the passing game, but more importantly, you can control it with a dominant running back, and Kenneth Walker was dominant from beginning to end, really settled the offense when it was a little hectic in the first half, and then that allows Sam Darnold to get comfortable, particularly in the second half when we saw more big plays from the offense.
One last little note on the offense. This is why you go get a veteran like Cooper Kupp. He's not what he was when we saw him in this stadium here as the best player in that Super Bowl, but he's got that experience, and in a game like this one, he made some clutch catches for them, kept the sticks moving, and was really good throughout this entire playoff run. So John Schneider, excellent job putting that little piece together on offense. But this Super Bowl is largely the result of a defense that was completely dominant.
Well, and to your point on Kupp, I mean, does Jackson Smith-Njigba have the season he did? I mean, like, it certainly helped that front, too. Not to say that JSN, didn't have the talent to put that kind of season on the books, but having that presence certainly made some sense there. So a big force multiplier felt like for the Seattle Seahawks was that free agent acquisition of Cooper Kupp. But then looking at the defense again, DeMarcus Lawrence coming over was a big one. Obviously, they drafted really well. I mean, like, we talked about it a little bit. Like, think about their draft just this year. Obviously, it was really good, but going back to, like, the Jackson Smith-Njigba year as well. Devin Witherspoon was in that draft. Zach Charbonnet was in that draft. Obviously, he didn't play here tonight, but, man, thinking of the ways in which that they have kind of rebuilt that defense through the draft has been pretty dang impressive.
Yeah, look, it's been a really impressive defense. When you just think about the explosive players that they've added, whether it's Byron Murphy or going all the way to the back end, Witherspoon and Nick Emenwari, who we didn't even talk about, but just Witherspoon being a big factor, and just the pieces, Tyreek Woolen, and the speed, the versatility, the explosiveness had, and then being able to supplement that with the veteran players that are coming in to play specific roles. Just a well-constructed defense, and don't forget, Leonard Williams coming over via trade.
Yeah.
They used every vehicle that you can use to build a team, and it shows the new way of thinking in the National Football League is not to pigeon yourself into a draft and develop league. We want to take the talent any way that we can get it, and that's what they were able to do.
Yeah, and look, we do the draft stuff, so if you just look at what we're going to learn from this and take forward, take both these defenses. Look, the Patriots defense did a great job. All year long did a good job in this game. Their front for both of these teams, these defensive lines, were all top 3-round picks. Yeah. These are investments, top of the draft, and waves of guys. We've seen it the last several years. These defensive lines, it's not one guy or two guys, it's 6, 7 guys. They roll them through, and that was a difference in the game.
Derek Hall, one of them from that draft class in 23 that we were talking about there was Witherspoon, JSN, Derek Hall, Zach Charbonnet, those first 4 picks, and all really hit. Again, we didn't get to see Charbonnet
Murphy last year.
Murphy last year, 7.5 sacks now, and obviously Gray Zabel, a big piece of that offensive line that helped clear the way for Kenneth Walker and 135 rushing yards in Super Bowl 60. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Truer words, not spoken. Seahawks are Super Bowl 60 champions. Second Vince Lombardi trophy now in franchise history, going back to Super Bowl 48. Give the MVP to the whole. I mean, there is a case for that. Like, how do you single out one
I don't know
guy?
the rules on that. I don't know if you can, but there's a lot of options on the defense. But Walker on offense is the clear choice if you want to go with just the overall individual star.
Yeah.
Individual star, it would be him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. 1,000%. Russell Wilson to go Hawks. One more time.
This might not be a one-off here for this group, too.
It's a young group.
It's a very young, talented group.
I mean, Sam Darnold is not even 30 years old yet.
Oh, JSN's a pup.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Kenneth Walker's in his, on his.
They got to get him. They got to get him back as a free agent.
Yeah, he is a free. That was a pretty
price just went up a little bit.
That's a pretty good exclamation point on that free agency case right there. Mike McDonald, also the third youngest coach to win a Super Bowl at just over 38 years old. So, I mean, like, there's so much to like about where they are. I mean, some tweaks here and there, as every Super Bowl team has to do, but this is not a team that is going to lose a bunch of key pieces here.
They're not going to lose a bunch of key pieces, but they're playing in a very difficult division because San Francisco 49ers and the Rams are always going to be there. But iron sharpens iron.
Yes, that's the point.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron. They have to be ready to deal with that. But the one thing that'll keep them refocused, man, those bitter rivalries within the division, they'll always be shooting to be at their best.
Doesn't this feel a little bit like the 90s when you had the NFC East, where you had the Cowboys and the Giants and Washington, like all these teams, like whoever came out of that was going to be hardened and ready to make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah, NFC West for sure is a big piece in one of the biggest, most competitive divisions in football. But the Seattle Seahawks get it done 29-13 over the New England Patriots, who, look, late in the fourth quarter, we started to see they found Mac Hollins a couple of times on that touchdown drive. Thought for a second they might have it. But then, this was not Drake May's day. Felt like he was kind of off for really the entirety of this game. And DJ, it started with the way that they were pressuring him from the beginning, and it started to show up again towards the end.
Well, they just got to him. And when it's not only just getting hit when you have bodies around. And I keep going back to this game because it felt so similar to me to last year. Patrick Mahomes, we saw the same thing happen with him last year when he was getting knocked around.
He looked like a mortal.
Yeah, when you get sacked 6 times, we've seen this in Super Bowls, man, when there's already so much pressure on you, from the outside world and the stage that you're on, and then you're just getting hit repeatedly. You can't help but speed up.
Yeah, what you talk about is just being dominant in the defensive trenches. For the second year in a row, we talked about Philadelphia the year before, then looking at the Seattle Seahawks, the way they dominated, it is in the front. The other thing that I'll say about Drake May, when you're around NFL teams, they always talk about the 4 speeds that you have to face: preseason, regular season, postseason, and then Super Bowl. Tonight was the first time in the post that it looked like the speed of the game overwhelmed Drake May. And second-year player, not a lot of reps. It can happen like that, but he was overwhelmed by it all in Super Bowl 60.
And even within that, you saw